Hi, Howard. Tell me one thing you're good at.
One thing I'm good at, right? If I look back and I think about something that I'm good at, like a running theme, I would say, and I don't mean this to be cryptic, but I'm pretty good at being bad at things.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of coincides with I have this unwavering idea that if someone can do something, I should be able to do it. So I will really spend a lot of time, and it's often stupid things. I remember seeing someone who could do a Rubik's Cube, and I was like, I have to learn to do that. If he can do it, I should be able to do it. And being young, seeing someone could juggle, and I was like, so it's often the stupid things that people say are pointless and are really silly and really have no impact or value in the greater scheme of life.
Yeah.
I seem to be drawn towards.
Yeah.
And I will learn that. I will do it. And when I say I'm good at being bad, what I mean is I will be really okay with being really rubbish at something for a long time, for long enough for me to get good at it. Like I don't get disheartened. Like 8 years, I'll still be trying with zero progress, and I'll still be going.
Okay. And when you're okay at being rubbish, and yet at the same time good at being bad at things.
Yeah.
And you said there, if he can, I should be able to. What kind of bad at things is that? Bad at things.
It's for me, it's dealing with the discomfort of not immediately getting results. And all of the thoughts that people have or may have, like, oh, if I can't do this, it means I'm no good, or like a good example would be, I now juggle. I'm a good juggler, and but I watch people who say I want to learn to juggle, and they'll pick up 3 balls. I kind of show them one thing to do. They'll have one go. They go, can't do it. It's like because they didn't do it the first time. Like I can't do it, and then they put them down, and that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas I could not do it in the same way, but I was just quite good at not being able to do it. Yeah. Sitting with that feeling of total ineptness.
Yeah. And the sitting with that feeling of total ineptness, and when you're sitting there, what kind of sitting is it that you're doing with that ineptness and that discomfort?
I think it's just letting it be there. Just letting it sit, not having to do anything with it. Just letting it be there, despite the fact that I'm doing more and more things to be able to move towards a goal.
Yeah. So if you think back to the last time that you've had that letting it be there experience, and the discomfort was there and the not getting results was there, where were you sitting with that discomfort?
For me, the discomfort, if it were discomfort, I think as I reflect on it now, it's more kind of an uncertainty. And a frustration, kind of. It's like a fleeting frustration and uncertainty of will I ever be able to do that? And it comes and it goes, and I carry on.
Yeah. So when it's here and it comes and it goes and you carry on, where is it in relation to you?
It feels like it flows through me. So I'm here and it kind of flows through and out.
Yeah.
So I'm not it. That's how it strikes me. I'm not those sensations. I'm not those thoughts. They just appear and then yeah, they don't have any significance.
Yeah. Okay. So when they are flowing through you and out, this uncertainty and frustration, and you're good at being bad at things at that time, how do you know that you're good at being bad at things at that time? How do you know that this is now I'm good at being bad at things?
I don't at the time.
Okay.
I don't at the time. I think it's only on reflection after that I realized that I seem to have persevered with lots of things where many people that I come across have thrown the towel in.
Yeah.
But in the moment, just it comes, it goes, and I just think, well, I'll do it again. And I'll rather go tomorrow. I'll just keep.
You'll just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you first know you're good at it afterwards, what's that flow like when it's at its best? When things are just flowing through you and uncertainty and frustration flow through you and out. When you're at your best, what's that like?
There's like a duality to it. There's on the one hand the being, it is an intense feeling of like frustration / determination. It's like two polar opposites. It's like, I'm gonna get this. I have to. I'm going to master this. It drives me forward. And at the same time, the simultaneous kind of letting go of the fact that I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Which keeps me moving forwards, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So you have the duality of determination and frustration, and also letting go of not there yet. Now, is there a difference between that duality of determination and frustration and letting go of not there yet? Or are they linked in some way?
I think they're linked intrinsically. It's like I hold on long enough to the frustration sensation to go, I've got to do something about this. And let it go quick enough so that I can face doing it another time.
Yeah.
It doesn't stay with me.
Yeah. So it's time limited then. There's a quantity of frustration that's the right amount of frustration so that it drives the determination and they come together for you to let go. Is that?
That sounds about right.
Right. Okay. And is that something that you're consciously aware of, that quantity of frustration that's required?
it's an interesting question. I think I've become more aware that's what I'm doing in later years.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I was younger, it was more a case of it just, I would have said that I felt driven to do it. I would be like a dog with a bone, just,
yeah.
I just have to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and then the night would come, and I'm still there just doing it, and then it'd be morning, and I'm still there doing it, and you know, go to bed. No,
not yet.
I'm gonna get this.
Yeah,
not yet. It's how can you keep going? Like, enough. No, I'm getting closer. It's like, look, the evidence is not there. You're not getting closer. I am. Trust me.
Yeah,
just keep going.
So that was when you were younger, that it was the dog with the bone, and you just kept going. And you said as you got older, that's changed. So what's the difference now that you're a bit older from when you were younger?
No, I think it's how I would have described it when I was younger. The kind of just sheer, I would have said it's just sheer determination. But the shift is that now I'm older, I think I see it more for just, as we've talked about, the duality of having a time limited frustration and then letting it go, because that allows me to be able to do it again without self-berating.
Yeah. And there's so much in this I want to ask. When you're talking about the time limit of frustration and not self-berating, there are two things I want to ask about this. One is a future question that we might come back to in terms of, do you then, when you're thinking about something that you want to do now, have a conscious idea of how frustrating do I think this is going to be for it to be good enough to keep going, if you like?
Good question.
And hopefully we'll come back to that. But to come back to this time-limited frustration and not self-berating, how much time do you need to be frustrated to keep going and not come over into self-berating? Or is there any link between those two things?
I don't know the answer to the question in any real sense, other than enough frustration, not enough frustration to tip me over into like a downward spiral of negativity where I can't come out of it.
Yeah. Okay. And
but I've noticed, like with people that struggle, if they don't have any of that kind of, like, if they don't achieve something, can they just go, well, didn't do it? There's no driver. There was no, like, because they weren't invested in it. I think I have to invest in the task completely as being something I need to or want to achieve. Otherwise, there's no frustration.
Yeah.
If someone's asked me to, learn how to say the alphabet backwards quickly, I don't care. Like, I would fail at it the first time, likely, and go, all right. There'd be no frustration. I would have to want to achieve it, or think of it as something that seems desirable to be able to do.
Yeah. And it's fascinating. I have a favorite quote that goes through my head, which says, you can't be good at anything without being bad at it. Which runs along kind of similar lines. So, and the duality of the frustration comes with the determination. So can you be determined without frustration?
My first instinct is to say, yes, I can be determined, but without the frustration coming up at some point, I would likely not perpetuate that forward motion. I feel like I need the pain and the pleasure.
Yeah. In order to get the
to
whole.
do, yeah. Because I could go, yeah, I'm really determined to do that, and then try it. And if I failed, I'll be like, I was determined to do this, but well, there was no sense of loss from not being able to do it. I think there's a sense of, if I don't get the sense of, oh, why couldn't I do that? And I want to be, I need to be. They seem kind of linked.
Okay.
In my head, at least.
Yeah. And as it's your head we're investigating, then that's all right then.
I'm pleased to hear it. Yeah. On behalf of everyone else's heads, you're off the hook.
Indeed. Well, I'm not talking to them today. It might be another day. So this frustration and determination, which creates the duality, and the letting go of not there yet. Is there anything else that needs to be in place for you to be good at being bad at things?
So we've talked about the determination and the frustration and that duality. We've just uncovered that I think there needs to be a desire of something that's worthwhile to do, which I think is kind of important. I think, if I'm honest, there needs to be someone that I perceive as there needs to be someone that's done it already to a high level.
Yeah.
So that I can compare, so that I can look at it and go, the reason I want to do it is I've seen it's possible. So I would have been a shit Roger Bannister going first. I would need the Roger Bannister to go first to go, and now he can do the 4-minute mile. I should be able to do that.
Yeah. And you say a person that has done it before you. Does it have to be a person that is I'm using inspiration in my head right now. Can it just be an animal? Can it be something else around it, or is it for you a person that
needs to be someone that I identify as being like me?
Yeah.
Because my brain goes, if they can do it and they're like me,
yeah,
I should be able to do that.
Yeah.
I don't see why I couldn't.
Okay.
I did a squirrel climb a tree there and go, I should be able to climb that tree as effectively.
So not squirrels. We can
not squirrels. No.
No.
Yeah, we can all agree.
And when you find a person, whether it's a juggler or whoever it may be, that you identify as being like you, what kind of like you is that like you?
It's going to sound ridiculous, but the first thing that comes to mind is my height.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like, because I'm 6'7". I'm just trapped in my 5'7" body.
Yeah.
Yeah. And growing up, I was always talked about as being a bit small. So I always, somehow, if I saw someone that was small or short that could do something very cool, I would always be like, well, not only can they do it, but they're short as well.
Yeah.
They're not the tallest person in the world. So you've paved the way for all the other short people out there to be able to think it's possible.
Okay. Yeah. And they need to pave the way as a short person for you to identify with being that like me. Is there anything else about that like me that's there?
Yeah, there's other things other than just being short. I mean, I'm not totally one-dimensional. Like it seems, I feel like it's in the realms of possibility. Like if I saw a YouTube video of someone doing one of these diving off a 30-foot ladder and landing in a paddling pool. I'm like, there was no part of me that thought, yes, I think I'm now going to dedicate my life to doing that.
Yeah.
Accepting that I'm likely to be bad at first. That didn't strike me as a sensible idea. So
No.
I think it had to be in the realms of possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing my deputy headmaster showed me a trick once with a toothbrush, where you can take a toothbrush and whiz it around your finger if you hold it just right.
Mm-hmm.
The moment I saw that, I'm particularly drawn to things that are useless, because I don't know when that skill would ever be useful to me. Just going home and practice. I had to learn. I had to be able to swizzle a toothbrush around my finger.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed that it became the most important thing to me.
Yeah. So there is also, you mentioned the determination and the desire, and worthwhile for you is I'm not going to say all things, because I know you a little bit as well, but worthwhile for you is often useless things that other people wouldn't value, and yet for you these becomes important to learn how to do it, and that becomes part of your desire to do it.
Yes.
And when
I think, go on.
Well, I was just thinking about that. You talk about that, the height and the realms of possibility. That deputy head teacher, was there also something about responsibility, or his position, or how he was as a human being, that was part of that?
In this case, it's an interesting one. He was an incredibly inspirational character in my life.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think it was, anyone could have shown me that.
Yeah.
And the fact that they have fingers and it's a normal toothbrush, and I have fingers at home, a normal toothbrush, that was the thing that caught me.
Okay.
Like, we all have fingers and we all have toothbrushes, and it's not, we all don't have 30-foot ladders with paddling pools.
Yeah.
But this was in the realms of plausibility, instantly testable, that most people can't do. And I think as now I'm reflecting about it and I'm beginning to think, well, what is it that would draw me to it? I've always been drawn to, it's going to make me sound like a totally egotistical maniac, but having knowledge or skills or abilities in things that other people don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, just having, I think it gives me a feeling of significance, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
As silly as it sounds, that, you know, being able to twirl a toothbrush around your finger could give one a feeling of significance. It was that I can do something that most people can't.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're doing something that most people can't do, what's that like for you when you're doing something that most people can't do? You're twiddling a toothbrush around your finger.
It feels really good.
Mm-hmm.
It feels really good.
Yeah.
It's like it's all worthwhile.
Yeah.
As silly as that may seem, it's a disproportionate amount of happiness.
Yeah.
Being able to do that.
Yeah. And you smile whilst you talk about this disproportionate amount of happiness that you can.
Well, I give you a funny example. I became obsessed when I was about 30. It's about 8 years ago now. Oh shit, I'm giving away my age. With latte art, you know, when they pour like nice patterns on the coffee. That appeals to me. It's that stupid kind of skill that looks nice. I don't know how to do it. And at 30, I was like, right, I'm going to learn. And I booked myself into a latte art course.
Okay. Yeah.
And became it because of course that's what you do when you get it in your head and you're like a dog with a bone and you go, right, let's go and do this. And I couldn't do it. The day's training, and I still couldn't do it. And they told me to practice. And this has been an ongoing practice for 8 years now.
Yeah.
8 years later, I had the merest flash of the odd one or the odd two. And last week, I ended up booking a one-on-one It was a free course,
Mm-hmm.
a free one-on-one session with someone that teaches you, with the makers of my coffee machine.
Mm-hmm.
And they taught me. And in the last 2 days, it's clicked.
Yeah.
And I've been producing art, latte art hearts on my coffee, and they're almost perfect every time. And the pleasure I get when I see it and I do it, and I know that's 8 years of practice.
Yeah.
That's 8 years. And this was slow. Like, people will tell me they get it after like a couple of weeks, but just 8 years of doing it.
Mm.
And when I make someone a coffee and they look down at it in the last 2 days and they go, ooh, I am complete.
Yeah.
It is.
It's complete happiness that that is there.
It's my happy place. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the worthwhile is the significance and the happiness that comes from being able to do something that other people can't do, or not many people can do. And that's a disproportionate happiness as well. So the prize
Absolutely.
at the end of the frustration and determination is something that is much bigger than rationally you would say you've made a little bit of a shape on a bit of coffee. For you,
it's like
it's enormous amounts of happiness. Yeah,
absolutely. And someone could look at it and go, all right, yeah, so you just did a bit of latte art, or you just, no, you don't understand.
It's 8 years.
This is yeah what it represents. It's
okay. So we've got the duality of frustration and determination that has to be there, where you can let go of not being there yet. And there also is this identifying with somebody like me. It's within the realms of possibility and the size of the person, mixed with this desire to get there. There's something there that's going to be worthwhile, and that worthwhile is they're doing something not many people can do, and the feeling of significance and happiness that comes with it. Is there anything else about that identifying as being like me with the realms of possibility and the height? Is there anything else about that part of being good at being bad at something?
I think I get I think there's a pride I take in being okay with not being good at something at first.
Yeah.
There's also I do have an unwavering belief that if I keep the intention or the direction in mind, that I can't help but get better. It will happen.
Yeah. So there's pride and a belief. And I think I've not heard you quite right. Did you say unwavering belief or
unwavering? Yeah.
An unwavering belief in that I will get better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally can't help but get better.
Yeah.
I don't understand how I couldn't get better if I just keep doing it. Like it has to improve.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that I use the same. I'm a big believer in if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, don't expect different results. But for sure. But if I keep that intention and I keep experimenting and doing different things and consistently trying and looking at other ways of achieving the same, you have to get better. I literally can't understand how you couldn't.
Yeah. Okay. And that belief that it has to improve. Has that always been there, so long as you can remember? Or is that something that has come over time as you have had the duality of frustration, determination, and letting things go?
I don't know. My earliest memories of this particular kind of attribute is juggling potatoes, because I didn't have any juggling balls. and learning to juggle 3 potatoes as it was Satsumas, but they kept splitting. So I was told the potatoes would be better.
Yeah.
Over the course of, I think, 2 days, I just, like a dog with a bone, just, that's my earliest memory of being absolutely driven to being able to do it.
Yeah. And that belief
before
was
that,
there.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious as to whether or not it comes over time, or whether or not it's something that you've experienced, has always been there. Not so much the frustration, determination, but with that belief that it has to improve. You know, if I keep doing this, experimenting with it, it has to get better.
Well, I think it's funny, actually. I'm remembering something now that I haven't thought about for a very long time. And it does seem kind of connected, but it's before the potatoes, juggling potatoes, where I think perhaps I'd set my sights on more plausible things. But I genuinely remember watching Superman and thinking that if I really believed hard enough that I could fly, that I would be able to fly.
Yeah. And
getting on my dining room chair and leaping off and being convinced that if I just kept practicing, I would slowly be able to increase the time I was up.
Yeah.
And spending an afternoon, just get up, jump off. How long was that? Well, I don't know, but it felt, and doing it again, it felt a bit longer. It's working. It's working. And just like a dog with a bone, trying to teach myself to fly.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah. Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I didn't learn.
Well,
Can't fly. Just if anyone's wondering.
I was more thinking 8 years to learn how to do cafe latte art. I presume you're still practicing to get there in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in all seriousness, I'd love to come back to this dog with a bone.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you before about whether or not you, when you're thinking about doing something now, think about the level of frustration and determination that needs to be there, and whether or not that it's worthwhile, if there is that significance and doing something that others can't do. When you're starting something new or trying something new, then is it something you think about, or are you just a dog with a bone? So I'm giving you duality here, I shouldn't be doing. But the dog with a bone in my head, it doesn't think, do I want that bone? Should I think about it? The dog with a bone just goes, that's a bone, I want it. I'm going that way now. Does that make sense? The question in terms of, do you reflect over it now, or is it just a person with a toothbrush that you go, I'm going to learn how to do that?
I've become I'm not sure. I know I've become very fixated on something. And I have to keep going until it's done. It's like it becomes the most important thing to me. Even silly things like a jigsaw, a 1,000-piece jigsaw, get it out. Once I start, I'm just, and I'll do other things, but like my attention's always being pulled back to, that has to be done now.
Yeah.
Because other people can do it, so I should be able to do it. Much to the chagrin of people around me. He's doing that sodding jigsaw again. Yeah.
And that jigsaw then, if you keep with that example, was that a conscious process, or was that there's a jigsaw there and you start doing a little bit and then go, I have to finish this now. This is my bone. I am the dog, therefore I eat my bone.
Yeah, it's the latter for sure.
Okay. And when you talked about the flow, the frustration and determination going through you and letting go of not there yet, is the dog also something that flows through you that you allow to be there? I mean, is that also something that's... 'cause
It is and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's me succumbing. I allow myself to give in to that when it's appropriate to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But I can step out of it as well.
Yeah.
And go, I've got other stuff to do right now, and I'll just and I can put it out of my mind. I think that would be different from a dog with a bone. He's always going to be after it, but it's like a groove in my mind that I go into. I'm like, that's my focus. That's it. Yeah.
And that groove that you're into, I just need to check in terms. You say you can take the dog you can put on one side because you've got other things that you need to do. Are you then going into the groove of the other things you need to do, or is it when you come back to the being the dog again? You're back.
The dog's in the groove.
Right.
It's the groove of dog with bone. I just go in. I go like into it.
Yeah. Okay.
And disproportionate amounts of my time have gone on trying to get stuff done or trying to learn something just for the sake of learning it.
Yeah.
Just because for the sheer hell of I can.
But it's not just for the sheer hell of you can.
No, you're right.
It's also for the disproportionate happiness and significance and I can do something that others can't.
Yeah.
So it's not a disproportionate amount of time to work towards the feeling of after 8 years of being able to do a heart on a cup of coffee.
Correct.
That you can give to somebody.
Yeah. And it's not all useless stuff. There have been lots of things that I've taught myself to do or learned to do through that same pattern, which have been tremendously useful to me, whether it was learning to design my own website and code and do those things, because guess what? Someone else could do it, so why can't I? Why am I some kind of idiot? No, I should be able to do that too.
Yeah.
Or whether it was learning to help someone with anxiety or problems, or be able to subtly induce or artfully engage someone's mind to tell stories or metaphors, or it's all in that scope of someone else can do it, so I should be able to.
Yeah.
And that'll make me feel good.
Yeah. Disproportionately happy.
Disproportionately happy, yeah.
Although one might almost say after 8 years, proportionately happy. If you've worked on something for 8 years and then it succeeds.
Yes, it would. Yes, you're right.
It would
be in that case, proportionally happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay.
Disproportionate in the sense of it is just coffee.
Yeah.
But proportionally in the sense that, yes, anything you want to do and you keep at it for 8 years, I think you're allowed to feel quite good when you've done it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So the dog with the bone, which contains this duality of frustration and determination and the desire and the working towards something that other people can't do and that you can do, which is inspired by other people like you, height and realms of possibility, and the pride that is there as well about being able to succeed, and a deep belief within you that you can fly.
Yeah.
With all of that, would that be an okay place for us to stop?
Yeah. This has been fascinating.
Good. Pleased to hear it. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
And unpacking.
Yeah. I love doing these kinds of things because you just suddenly meet this dog with a bone, and there's so much in it that's of such interest, and a deep-seated admiration for somebody who was willing to spend 8 years learning how to shape something on a cup of coffee, which I think is brilliant. I actually think of all the things you're looking at doing, there are many things that you can do. Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's just absolutely
just have
fantastic.
to show.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's absolutely wonderful. And within all of that, what I have also heard is just that understanding of learning, understanding that to learn, you have to try and fail and experiment and change it around and keep going and keep holding on to that inspiration that's there at the end of it. And I think it's certainly an inspiration for me to be able to kind of go back to thinking about that basic idea of learning, that it's about failing to do until you can, and enjoying, if you can, the frustration that needs to be there, because if it's not there, it's not worth it.
Yes.
So it's been a pleasure, Howard, and thank you very much for taking the time to talk.
Pleasure to be here. And thank you.
Cheers.
Cool.